Hey guys, happy post 4th of July. Like I said a couple weeks ago, wasn't sure if I was going to do a video on the weekend of the 4th, and I didn't. I just hope everyone enjoyed their 4th of July. Yeah, thank you, Lincoln. I know, we're making a video and you have to give me head kisses. um, but yeah, our final statue that we have still in a box, um, Cable from the X-Men. By Iron Studios, of course. 1/10 scale. There's his back, and there's his front, and then you have the X-Men / X-Force logo because he is he's the leader of X-Force. Okay, Lincoln, okay, just lay down. He won't stop if I don't stop him. Why don't you lay down? Lay down. I know, there you are. Anyway, yeah, so this is another one I had to get secondhand through a different distributor. I got this one through eBay actually. What I read, this was another convention exclusive. Not really sure, but I wanted a Cable statue because Cable is a pretty awesome character. Now, ironically, when Cable first came out, you look at the comics, his feet, the guy didn't know how to draw feet. The original illustrator of Cable did not know how to draw feet. So that's why his proportions were all messed up. And he's not the only character like that. Another one from X Factor was Strong Guy, who he just looked goofy. Cable, though, Nathaniel Summers, he is the son of Scott Summers and Jean Grey, from one of the timelines that they had a kid together. Oh yeah, the joys of listening to the styrofoam squeak on the wood table. I hope you all had a nice 4th. I didn't actually. I started out the 4th of July weekend not feeling too good and didn't drink enough water. Always remember, if it's hot and it's humid, you're probably not drinking enough water. Even though I thought I was, I drank a lot of water, but apparently it just wasn't enough that I didn't end up getting a little dehydrated early on the Friday before the 4th, which thankfully I don't work Saturdays. It's my day off. I wasn't able to work the 5th, that Sunday, because this guy back here, we had bad thunderstorms Saturday, and then my neighbors thought why not compete with the National Balls fireworks show in DC, and we'll do our own off our back patio. And he was freaked all night. I'm trying to go to bed to go to work. I laid down, I think it was like 9:30, and I could hear the fireworks, and that doesn't bother me that much. I usually listen to a movie or music when I go to sleep anyway. I'll put something on and put a timer on it to shut off after an hour or two. What I had playing that night, well, Independence Day. I had Independence Day playing because I figured the explosions and that would distract him from what was going on outside. No luck there. I think he's gotten used to the Independence Day trying to play that, or the Patriot. Because, yeah, there are certain movies I like to watch on certain holidays or certain memorial days. 4th of July weekend, I always start out with Jaws, the original Jaws. Classic 4th of July movie. And I always watch the first Independence Day, the special edition. I think the little scenes in the extended version of that movie add some context to the film that is, missed. some of the humor with Jeff Goldblum and the guy that plays his father. Little things in that, extended version that were fun. That movie just, it's a take back to when it first came out and I saw it in the movie theater with my dad. 4th of July weekend, ironically. But yeah, so another one I watch is The Patriot. That's another good 4th of July movie. Sometimes I'll watch Team America World Police. Can't go wrong with some good old Matt Parker and Trey Stone for the 4th of July. And Puppets is just, that was a hilarious movie to make it with puppets, but I don't think you'd get it made any other way. Even a cartoon version of that film would not get made to some of the things they put in. Well, let's unbox Cable here. Let's check them out. Looks like we have him. There's that. Where is the base? Oh, okay. So, this is interesting. This is the first for me with this unboxing. The base is in the base of the box. There we go. Cool little base. Just a little street with a can of smoke grenade, I'm guessing, tear gas, and it's a Deadpool can, because Deadpool thinks he's best buddies with both Wolverine, well, with 3 people, Wolverine, Cable, and Spider-Man. He thinks he's best buddies with all of them. But yeah, nice little base. We got on the bottom there. Cable. Yeah. I like this. It's heavy, but I like the base. It's there. Underneath. Alright, so we'll get the main man out himself. Cable. I like it. And all his futuristic military glory. So we got a hole here. We got 2 hands to put on. Good detailing. There's his pistol. All the grenades he carries. This very much is a Cable from the Age of Apocalypse style Cable. Like, the whole reason he comes back in time is he's a time slide device. It's, unlike the Deadpool 2 movie, it wasn't to stop the diabetic fat Indian firebug kid. It's to stop Apocalypse. It's to stop the X-Men from doing some bad stuff and Apocalypse coming about. Now we've got his signature gun. All kinds of attachments, gadgets, and how he uses that. And that goes right there. There we go. You can see that. There we go. And then we have for his right hand, a big old combat knife. He's just gonna stab somebody. And that is gonna go like that. There we go. And then for his back, I saw there's a big peg hole in the picture. Let's see. I'm guessing this is more of a precision rifle, like a sniper rifle. that he would utilize. Let's see. Like that. And there we go. There's Cable. The last statue to go in my cabinet until more pre-orders come in. I looked, and it looks like the Jungle Hunter Predator is getting close now to being the next to arrive. And of course, when that arrives, we will do an unboxing of that, because I really like. I've said before, Alien franchise and the Predators tying into it. Some of my favorite movies, the number one favorite movie of all time is Alien. I just rewatched Alien Earth. Like, actually watched it, not like half watched it. Because when I watched it before, I watched it one time, and it was okay. But Cable, I would love, and I doubt Marvel will ever do this, because I don't think we can get Josh Brolin. He's getting a little old. I would love to see a Cable film set in the Age of Apocalypse, where he's building like the X-Force, like the post-apocalyptic strike force to fight the forces of Apocalypse. And I think that would be, yeah, it wouldn't be, I mean, don't blow 150 million on it. Maybe 50 to 100 million. Find people that will work cheaper, like newer actors and actresses. Like, yeah, we have the girl that played Domino. I didn't hate her in Deadpool 2, honestly. She was kind of funny. She was kind of comedic relief with her ability, her luck. Luck is a power. And Deadpool's just like, luck's not a power. It is. Her power is beating the odds. Kind of like Longshot from when we did the Mojo unboxing. He's another member. I guess he's an honorary member of the X-Men since he's from Mojo World, and he's not really in the X-Men that often. He's a side character, kind of like Cable, but Cable got his own, straight up. He was Cable. He was the X-Force leader. He, they built a pretty good origin around him. Like, the reason his arm is metallic is from the virus in the future that kind of cyberizes people that Apocalypse spread, so he can make weapons out of mutants and humans alike. But yeah, a Cable movie, a solo Cable movie. I wouldn't make it a solo Cable movie. I don't think Cable is big enough in the comics or has a big enough fan base to sell a straight up Cable movie, unless it was like an origin and a team building movie. Like, you start out with him on his own and, trying to help people, save mutants. You could throw Bishop in there, because Bishop knows Cable. They have been at odds, even though their timelines aren't exactly alike, because Bishop comes from the timeline of the Sentinels taking over, and he comes from the timeline of Apocalypse taking over, but they do cross over. There is, Bishop is in the Age of Apocalypse. So like an X-Force movie, and I'm not saying throw Deadpool in there, because he is a member of the X-Force, I think Deadpool would draw too much. It would draw people in, granted. I think it would divert away from the story that you would try and tell with Cable, which should be a way more serious. Like you can't make a Cable movie for kids. It needs to be a serious, like even push maybe even a rated R. You, I don't know I know the aversion to making a rated R superhero film because you want to get kids in there. But if you want to get comic fans and those who are Cable fans, you want a serious movie. No fourth wall breaking, like with Deadpool. No, you could have some subtle humor in it. You could have, but you have to have people dying. It's the age of apocalypse. People need to die. You can even throw a Wolverine in there because Wolverine, age of apocalypse. If you watch Deadpool Wolverine, he's doing the montage, and they show Wolverine in the age of apocalypse missing his hand and stuff. I would go. I mean, this would have to be separate. A separate. This is why I say no Josh Brolin, because you would need to have a separate Cable from Josh Brolin's Cable, because they killed Shatterstar in Deadpool 2, which was hilarious. But he is a member of the X-Force as well. So again, if you wanted to reintroduce Shatterstar, it would have to be a different Shatterstar from the Deadpool Josh Brolin universe, which I guess you consider is that it made by Marvel, but their characters started by Fox. So would that still fall under the Fox superheroes or the MCU? Which I'm so sick of the MCU. I don't know if you guys saw the spoilers for Avengers Doomsday, the plot leak. If you haven't and are planning on going to see the movie, I would look up that spoiler, because it is, from what I've heard and seen in other YouTubers' videos, namely Nerdrotic was talking about it and went over it on an episode of Friday Night Tights. Everything that leaked is true, and it makes it sound very bad. They are going to kill off a lot of people that people like. Now, I'm not above killing people off, especially when an actor gets too old or beat up from doing the role, but, I mean, you're going to kill Tobey Maguire. I get it. You have to end them somehow, especially when you did No Way Home, which was great, by the way, great Spider-Man film. I would like to see a Cable movie sometime, a live action, like Die Hard, in the future, building the X-Force, and then, like, if Marvel were smart, which we know they're not, they're going to screw up. Doomsday is going to be a clear example of how they're going to bait and switch people and screw up their own universe. And they're going for a reset. That's ultimately what they're going for, is a hard reset of the universe. Because they've screwed it up so badly since the end of Endgame. Sure, there were a couple movies that came out after Endgame that were okay. I wouldn't say that any of them were great, except for Spider-Man: No Way Home, which was not Marvel, it was not the MCU. That was Sony. Sony still owns the rights to Spider-Man. But they screwed up so much, they just want to reset the universe and start all over, which they even said on Friday Night Tights that they might start over with the X-Men. And I'm like, okay, we talked about that before, where I didn't hate these X-Men movies from First Class till Apocalypse. Phoenix, I didn't really like. I liked Apocalypse. I didn't love it. There were parts of it that I didn't like. There were things of it that I did like. But I would like, if they did want to restart with the X-Men, yeah, have your X-Men. do an adult Cable movie. Do a gritty, futuristic Age of Apocalypse, and you're getting introduced Cable the soldier, you know, fighting in the future, of course against insurmountable odds, but building a team. And then, if they have created a good X-Men, then you could have him, you could introduce Bishop into that with the Sentinels issue, and then, you know, do a sequel movie to Cable where he can get the time slider device that it gives him the ability to travel through time, and then, you know, that could be a whole movie. That could be, you know, him and Forge, and they're working to get the resources with the team, and then some of the team dies. Kill some people, and don't plan on bringing them back. You know, just be like, yeah, people died, and that's why Cable, it would be good motivation for Cable to then want to jump back to fix things so that they wouldn't die. You know, they kind of did that with Days of Futures Past, where if they got caught by the Sentinels, someone jumped back in time, warned them, and they wouldn't be there. They would change time. Because some people theorize you can't change the past to change the future. I believe you can't change certain things in the past, but like Days of Futures Past, you can change minute things, like just not be in a certain location, and, you know, have a little forewarning. It basically wouldn't be like changing that much. You're altering a small event compared to a dynamic point in history, which could cause X-Men's a perfect example with the different timelines of the future. You know, you have the Sentinels, the Master Mold, and Nimrod, and then you have up here, you have Age of Apocalypse. And that would be a cool one as well, to introduce a Mr. Sinister. So you could introduce a future Sinister in a Cable film, because Sinister worked for Apocalypse at one point. Introduce a future Sinister, and then age the character a little bit, because Sinister ages very slowly, but he does age, not dramatically, but you cast your Sinister, you put him in the Cable film, you make him the villain, so you see the end of Sinister, and then with your X-Men movies, Sinister can be one of your big villains. I mean, obviously the first movie you do with a new X-Men movie, you want them to go against the Brotherhood of Mutants, against Magneto, against Pyro, Blob, Toad, Mystique, Sabretooth. You want that. And then your second one, you know, and that builds up to the reason that they're fighting is because they don't agree on how to handle the humans working on the Sentinel program. And there's your second X-Men movie, the Sentinel thing, which then you introduce Bishop. Yeah, introduce Bishop in the second X-Men movie. You know, have him come back and be like, yeah, the Sentinels are a big problem in the future. Solve that problem. And then Bishop sticks around because he's like, the future that I came from doesn't exist, so I'll stick around here. And then the third X-Men movie, you introduce Cable and Mr. Sinister. Rather than go straight at Apocalypse, introduce someone that in the future would be his henchman, who you see Cable kill, and then in the third X-Men movie, bring Cable in. Have already established Cable in 2 movies. You could also introduce Angel, aka Warren Worthington III, in that third movie, because Cable might know him as the Horseman of Death in the Age of Apocalypse, because there are many different horsemen that, you know, Apocalypse has used. There's Gambit was, you know, Wolverine. He could recognize people from his future and be like, yeah, this guy's a loose cannon, or this guy is working for him in the future, and he cause animosity, build character development, something that really lacks in a lot of Marvel nowadays, especially with Disney. Character development used to be a thing in films. Now it's just, oh, well, we need to explain this because people might not get it. No, people can get it if you write well. You don't need 30 writers in a room doing 30 different things and then throw it together and then thinking you can make a movie out of it. No, you need a core group that's going to work together. You know, one person working dialogue, one person working action scenes, one person working character development, and have them work together. You only need half a dozen people if they're good. But everyone wants to be part of something now. 30 producers on a film and 20 writers for a TV show. Oh my God. And everyone's got to be an executive producer, an assistant producer. It's so stupid now. They've changed the rules so much because they say it's the better opportunity for everyone, and it's like, no, you're just giving the worst elements of your industry access when they really should just go work at Starbucks or write a book or, you know, do creative writing on your own to get better at creative writing. Because then an editor can be like, we're going to change this, 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 and this. And this is why, for flow, or consistency, or character development. But yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see them fix their wrongs, but I doubt they will. Go look up the Doomsday spoiler online and read through it, because honestly, or check out Friday Night Tights. I believe it was not this past week. They talked about the Odyssey. It was either last week, it was either July 3rd or the week before the Friday Nights episode. I mean, if you look up Nerdrotic's channel, I think he has it set up on there. It's because it's a huge spoiler thing, but you need to know what you're getting into when you're buying movie tickets. I'm planning on seeing more movies this year because there are several that are coming out. Godzilla Minus Zero's teaser, another teaser just dropped. It looks awesome. I can't wait. Even though you see so little in the teaser except for how big he got. And you're like, damn. Dude bulked up. His first one had him walking past the Statue of Liberty, and the dude was not that big in the first film. So I'm interested to see that. Dune Part 3 here in the winter. And when I go see these movies, I'm going to give you out-of-theater reactions. The evenings that I get home from these movies, I'll make a video talking about the movie, pumping it up, be as spoiler-free. Reviews on what I thought about, the editing, the sound track, the music, the sound quality, just the visual quality. So yeah, there's that. There's Super Troopers 3 coming out. That's ironically the weekend I'm going to Steel City Con, but I'm going to talk a little bit about Steel City Con in my next video coming up right after this one, which is going to be another poster tubes. Pulled out 2 more poster tubes. Plus I bought some Blu-rays the other day, which we'll talk about the ones I got and why I got them. Pertains to Steel City Con. We don't have a couple of them. So, but yeah, Cable, my final statue until some more pre-order items kick off. I really like the color palette on this. It's not too bright. And this is the type of Cable I would want to see in a Cable movie. Because you could always just start out the first movie, Cable. And then the second movie, X-Force. Because like the first movie, Cable should be building his strike force. you know, gathering up some mutants to help him combat Mr. Sinister and Colossus. So the first movie introduced the other heroes, and you fight minions. You don't fight the Horsemen. You don't fight Mr. Sinister. The second film, he kills Sinister. And they may fight some Horsemen, but they won't fight Apocalypse. You save fighting Apocalypse for the crossover of Cable and the X-Men. Because that will be a better movie. Because him working with the X-Men to fight Apocalypse in the past, because with his time sliding device, he can jump back to a time that could be different, and you could show that at the end of the X-Men movie. Make that an end credit sequence where he slides into a future that's worse than the one he left. Or a cheery, happy ending if, you're like, let's retire Cable now while he did well so we don't ruin this character. But yeah, that would be, because they're all about cinematic universe, so plan your movies accordingly. You have a structure set up. Like I said, X-Men movie, Cable movie. X-Men 2, introducing Bishop and the Sentinels. Cable, or X-Force, or Cable and the X-Force. I would just call it X-Force. People that know X-Force would know it, but they would know it then from the trailer and be like, what's X-Force? See Cable and the X-Force, because you would know from the first Cable movie that, okay, this makes sense. Now they're the X-Force in the second film. And then you have him kill Sinister, introduce Sinister. X-Men 3, do the Savage Land with Sinister in it. That would be freaking awesome. Because then you would introduce Sauron and I forget what Sinister's group was called that worked for him. They had Vertigo. And he had some cool mutants. Plus, there's the whole tie-in of kidnapping Scott and Jean Grey because of their kids. And Sinister could be working on the virus that affected the future. And there's your third movie, the introduction of Sinister. And Cable, you introduce Sinister. And then X-Men 4, that's when you do the crossover where they busted up the Savage Land operation. Now they're on the hunt for Sinister, and he slides back to help hunt Sinister down. Be like, I killed him in the future, but stuff didn't change, so I've got to kill him in the past instead. Which would be like killing Hitler in the past. It's not necessarily going to work out, or you might not be able to do it. But then you could introduce Apocalypse at the end of that movie. Sinister all beaten up and busted up, and heads to Apocalypse, be like, I fucked up. And then X-Men 5, the quintessential end of the 5-series movie where they fight Apocalypse. And I wouldn't say kill him, but make the future different so Cable would stay in the 4th movie and in the 5th movie. And maybe even Ford shows up in the 5th movie with the X-Force, so you have your crossover of the X-Men and the X-Force together fighting Apocalypse, who has put a foothold situation down. He's established, by then he'll have taken Angel and made him Archangel. And that's what I would do if I were Marvel, but I have common sense and don't want to make crappy movies that aren't going to tank in the box office. I would not even fathom to guess who could be casted for a Cable. Because you kind of want someone burly and close to 6 feet tall. He's a big guy. and you want someone buff. You don't want some skinny guy. I mean, Josh Brolin. I mean, he wasn't a horrible Cable. He's a different kind of Cable. He had different motivations, and the way his outfit was. Now his weapon looked pretty similar to this gun. Not exact, but close. It had all the futuristic elements, like a turn dial to turn up the power. Okay, turn dial isn't going to get busted up like a digital, dial would. So that didn't. I like Cable. I like what they did with the Juggernaut in that movie. His song. The Juggernaut song was hilarious that they played when the Juggernaut was around in the final battle. But yeah, I would love to see this Cable, serious, diehard, future soldier, rated R. Because the X-Men movies, you could rate them PG-13. And then progress as things get more messed up to like it's time that the X-Men are some rated R people, because and that would be the cool thing with the third X-Men movie with the Savage Land. Is that where I said that would go? Pretty sure I said that's where. Third movie, Savage Land. Fourth movie, no, third movie, fourth movie, Savage Land. And I'm tired. I've been cleaning all morning. Anyway, the Savage Land one would be cool because you could bring Magneto into it. Another cool further one, you could introduce some elements of Genosha. You could introduce elements of Avalon, of Magneto's, not the Brotherhood, the Post Brotherhood, when he's got the asteroid in Earth orbit. I mean, there's so many different like main storylines you could do with the X-Men. Like you could introduce the Shi'ar Empire and the Brood, and that would tie into the Phoenix Saga, which I wouldn't touch that right away. I would keep Jean Grey as Jean Grey rather than jumping into the Phoenix powers. Let her keep herself reserved until later. Go a more grounded Earth route. Stay away from the Phoenix. Just, for at least, I mean, if you want a longevity, stay away from Phoenix until the fifth movie, maybe. When, like, in X-Men Apocalypse, she unleashed the Phoenix on Apocalypse. Fifth movie, when they fight Apocalypse, same thing. Where she won't kill him. Apocalypse is pretty hard to kill. But don't kill him. Leave him broken, beaten, and scurries away and has to go sleep for like 100 years to recoup. And then X-Men 6. He slides back to a future that is better than the one he left, or worse. I would say better. Put Apocalypse to sleep and have him go to a decent future where he's just dealing with some other stupid stuff. Like he shows up and it's fine, and then the X-Force shows up and they're just like, "Hey, but where have you been?" That's when you could get comedic with it at the end. Give him a good ending. Cable as a character, I think, deserves a good ending. And then your next X-Men films, that's when you get into the Phoenix Saga. So the next one would introduce the Brood and maybe Onslaught in one of them. I know X-Men 97 is airing now, and I eventually will. I'm gonna wait until the whole season's done, and I need to watch season 1 anyway, because I was a big fan of the original X-Men animated series. That was the bomb back in the day when you were a kid. Not the first place I fell in love with Cable with as a character. That came from the Executioner Saga comics. My cousin gave me one that has Cable standing over Professor Xavier with a big hole in Xavier's chest and it's smoking. But yeah, so next video coming up right after this is another Poster Tubes, some talk about the Steel City Con I'm going to, got my ticket, my hotel room booked, and some photos that I'll talk about in the next video booked that I'm excited for. Kind of just been working up to that. So here in 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be in Pittsburgh for that. All 3 days, Friday through Sunday. I'll be in there early, depending on how busy it is, because I don't want to be a dick and go around filming constantly. I might, if I see a vendor and I'm going to buy some of their stuff, I might be like, hey, do you mind if I take a quick video for my YouTube so I can, give you a shout out and show off some of your cool stuff? Even though I'm just a little guy. In my little channel. It's fun. And hey, I'll tag them. They have a card. I'll put all their information in the video. Share it. But speaking of sharing, like, share, subscribe, comment. I was talking to a buddy of mine the other night. He's starting up a YouTube channel with a buddy of his. And I'm going to have to look that channel up after this when I give him a shout out, because I talked to him, maybe doing some cross content in the future, because they're doing a kind of like a middle-aged gaming channel where they talk about hobbies, different hobbies, like a hobby channel. But I'll look up the title of that channel, because he's supportive of me in this, and I want to be supportive of him in that. Plus, if we can get some crossover traffic between the two of us, showing off games and that. Because I've got some games. We talked about an RPG night, and that would be cool to film that. A D&D night, I have a modern version called Everyday Heroes. And the Kickstarter is over, and the content that I got from the Kickstarter for that, the Return of the Living Dead source material, that's coming here soon, which I'm going to do a video for as soon as I get all that stuff. I'm also going to pull out the Everyday Heroes books that I have, because I got the core book, and a few other books that I found on Amazon in a order. They're supplement books that they did. They're pretty cool. I've already read through all of them, and I just need people to play some RPGs with. I gotta get out of my hole here. But then I get so distracted with video games anyway. So like, share, subscribe. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for the subscriptions. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for sharing. And we'll see you here in a few minutes. Lincoln is snoring. He's back there. You can see him. There's his belly. He's on his side. I just gotta shift this a little. Well, thank you, and we will see you here in a few